Greetings, fellow musicologists. I'm Alex Tamulis. Welcome to the channel. Today's the day to analyze one of my favorite tracks from Reload. Please subscribe to the channel, Where the Wild Things Are. And it's almost 7 minutes long, and it's the only one that was co-written by Jason Newsted, and actually the last collaboration that he's ever participated as a songwriter in Metallica. Something that's still odd is that the song has never been played live, and man, it's such a cool song. James Hetfield, he wrote the lyrics, probably sometime around 96 or 97. It doesn't matter since the main fodder for our analysis are the lyrics themselves. So we have the evidence of the words that he wrote and also the main source of inspiration. It's the 1963 book called Where the Wild Things Are. Was written and beautifully illustrated by Maurice Sendak. And it opens with this protagonist called Max. He's a young boy who's got a very large hammer. He's wearing a wolf suit and making mischief around the house. And this includes chasing his dog with a fork. His mom, who's never seen in the story, is obviously unsympathetic and shouts at Max. And she says, "Oh, you're a wild thing." And Max responds, "I'll eat you up." And because of this, he's sent to bed without eating anything. And in his bedroom, he continues to imagine, and he's just, his rage continues, and the trees, he starts to imagine, trees begin to grow from the floor, from the walls. The room becomes this huge forest, and then he walks through the forest. He reaches this boat that he takes across the ocean, and then he goes to where the wild things are. Wild things appear from the jungle. They have these, sharp, pointed teeth. They have menacing claws. So Max's wild things, they're just threatening, they dominate, but he has a stare. He has this magical stare that he says, "Be still." And he controls these wild things, so he becomes their king, commanding them to, commence this wild rumpus. And he joins them in this crazy party. But then once he's fed up, he just says, enough with the crazy party. I want my supper. And obviously he's just feeling lonely. He's far from home. He misses his family, and he starts smelling good things from, other corners of the world. And then he journeys back home, and he leaves the wild things there, and he finds his supper, and it was still warm. And that's it. The story is just only 10 sentences, 338 words, but the message resonated with thousands of kids, and it generated theater plays, movies, and even Metallica with the lyrics on Reload. So Where the Wild Things Are, talking about the song now, is track number 9 on Reload. And now that you're familiar with the context, we can delve into the lyrics, and we can also analyze the structure of the harmony and the melody. So first and foremost, this song will be a journey to your wild side. That becomes very accentuated by the E minor and the C major. Blang, blang. Which, combined will give you that eerie, that spooky vibe. It's this feeling of suspension that might not be about having a wild side per se, but it's related to understanding that wild actions can be a way to channel thoughts and to shape your behavior. So, to help you better cope with the world around you. So it's for you to develop your own identity. So after these 2 chords, we will continue to feed this tense energy. So, they keep playing E and F. It's kind of like unsettling, because it's obviously a minor second interval. And I think they play the minor third too. So it always revolves around this tension, suspension, and the melodies and the chords, they will contribute to the vibe of the words. And it's also important to mention that this is more like a chord-based song, which is kind of a novelty for Metallica. They're always riff-based, but this song has lots of opportunities for colors, for moods, with those chords, and they're played with mildly distorted guitars. So the music guides you to this wild land where the wild things live. And by wild here, we're talking about anger, about resentment, feeling that you're not in control of your life, not in control of your actions, and you want to feel free and autonomous. You want to disobey. You want to be totally okay with that feeling. But when James Hetfield was young, he couldn't do that. His wings were clipped due to various religious beliefs. So, the word forbidden, or you can't do this, or you can't play that, were very normal. And that repressed his feelings and actions. So the song has lots of reverb, chorus, delay. It's a very different vibe for a Metallica song. And the effects on James's voice are spot on. It's very chambery, very ominous. So this is what music is all about. It's giving you that sonic picture. It's like a theater of sounds. It's similar to Alice in Chains when I listen to the song because of the vocal harmonies, because of Staley and Cantrell type of vibe. So talking about the sonic atmosphere, he sings, so this is what we call the first change of events. So it's the change in the course of events by waking up. He means obviously stopping acting like society wants you to, or your parents. Start accepting your wild side, your metal roots, your freedom. Let your thinking and your reasoning be your guide. So it's the only way to preserve your true world, our authenticity. And then steal dreams and give to you. Steal dreams and give to you. Shoplift a thought or two. Shoplift a thought or two. Here we can parallel wild things to actions. So just like Max is also letting his wild side take over by accepting words such as stealing and shoplifting into your world, you're doing the same. You're using these verbs. We can tell that these new thoughts that you have or your dreams are somewhere distant from your upbringing. And it's embracing rock and metal. It's embracing aggressive music. It's okay to appropriate yourself with these things because they belong to you now. All children touch the sun. Burn fingers one by one. This section is a nod to the myth of Icarus, son of Daedalus. Iron Maiden also loves to tell these tales, and Icarus' story is super interesting. Touching the sun stands for accessing the forbidden, going after what society doesn't want you to be in touch with. And the following part will deal with this dichotomy, this dilemma of good and evil. Are you going to meet good people, nice people, or are your experiences going to be really bad when you grow up? Encounters, luck, bad luck, being in the right place at the right time, we never really know. And James is just telling us that there's no way to know. Everything's up for grabs. You're where the wild things are. This is an amazing line, such a phenomenal image. Toy soldiers and war. So you're armed, you're ready to fight, ready to go to battle. He addresses this deepest, frequently repressed, often unspeakable concerns about him and his family. So the war is related to anguished inner struggle, and it's a similar struggle that Max goes through in the book. So he's putting himself in Max's shoes. These lyrics, they address problems such as children being enraged at their mothers, relating to a depressed or emotionally unavailable mother, or coming to terms with a mom who cannot or will not recognize her child's concerns or her child's state of mind.
Big eyes to open soon. Bleeding all under sun and moon. What does heaven know you're here? And did they give you smiles or tears? No, no tears.
The big eyes are related to monsters in the book. Wild things, they see farther. They see better than others. They let more light in, right? So he questions beliefs. As usual for James. James is questioning beliefs during the load and reload eras. And he also poses questions about fate. Do the gods care about how you feel? Do the powers that be give you smiles or tears? How's society treating you? Are you being accepted for who you truly are? How's the biased society reacting to your originality? The ultimate magic of James's work. It resides in representing imagination, dreams, fantasy, and ultimately art itself. And people have to be resilient. They have to have the strength to really soldier on. Notice that this part is super important because it's showing us that being clean means being wild and original, not conforming to the standards of society. So it's a really great metaphor because stained means obviously being corrupted by the forces of culture, in this case, the forces of norm. So you're straying away from the wild side. The wild side is creativity. You want to embrace originality. So the bridge is phenomenal. It starts with Lars's drums, and they sound very like Marshall drums. With the snare putting us in the mood to really let ourselves free. We're finally where the wild things are, letting our imagination go crazy. Now we don't really care about what others think. This was a genius move. They have two voices, two different characters being played by James here. It's the inner kid letting loose, going wild, firing up like crazy, imagination going, and the result is very poetic. It's this spoken word. This is Metallica meeting poetry at its best. The contrast between ludic toys, seen by society as harmless, but at the same time they're being used to war and battles, to rage against everything that's controlling us, everything that's not anger. This is all James mastering his inner demons, going to battle with this family, with, the ideals, the ideology. This is just key, because when you tame your own demons, that's when you become truly king of your actions. And this is what happens to Max. He's crowned king of the wild things. Now the king motif appears again and again, many times in Load and Reload, but in this case, it's an analogy that works to show how to be in control of your rage and your anger towards society. So after this amazing journey, how does the song end? James found a way to be in touch with the wild things through the power of art. Transforms otherwise crippling these traumatic circumstances into very means of survival, growth, positive maturation, channeled through the music and words of Metallica. So he goes to where the wild things are and he conquers them. What I can take away is that sometimes the solution to my problems is to face my inner monsters and to realize that I have more control over my emotions and fears. So perhaps like James, we can all leave our repressed anger, fear, frustration, resentment, alienation on an artistic, lyrical, and musical island. Thank you for subscribing. Please subscribe if this content makes you feel good in any way. I'm signing out. Music is what music does. Bye now.